So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. So, listen, the next one we're getting into, man, is the most terrifying things said by astronauts in space. Now, imagine yourself being an astronaut. You're flying around space. You're seeing all of this kind of crazy stuff, and at any moment, something could happen, go wrong, go crazy. What you think you would say? I guarantee there'll be a bunch of four-letter words coming out your mouth, even if you never used them before. You know what I mean? But we're going to get into this video, so if you're new, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, join the fam, and let's check this out.
Gigantic, overwhelming, mysterious. There are really many words to describe the universe. However, our fascinated gaze at the stars is accompanied by a big downer. Only a few of us ever get granted the opportunity to set off into the vastness of space ourselves. So to find out what a trip to space feels like, we'd better ask those in the know. But beware, in view of the frightening reports from the astronauts, we should probably be glad that we didn't become astronauts after all. Because let's be honest, what is a snake doing in space? And why is something or someone knocking on the outside of a spaceship?
I would have thought I left Earth to escape the snakes. Why are they up here?
Are you just as fascinated by the mysteries of the cosmos as we are? Then let us know with a like and a subscription. And now get ready for some seriously spooky astronaut testimonials. Space music. What was up with the strange whistling noises the Apollo 10 astronauts heard in May 1969? To pave the way for the first manned moon landing, Eugene Cernan, Thomas Stafford, and John Young had gone into lunar orbit, where they tested the descent, ascent, approach, and docking maneuvers. In the audio recordings that were later released, we witnessed Cernan asking his colleagues if they also hear the strange whistling. The two men agreed, and somehow the melodic sounds almost reminded them of kind of a space music. It is commonly believed that the noise was due to radio interference, which the astronauts heard through their headphones. However, not everyone is convinced of this explanation. Some believe that there was something far more sinister behind the space music.
I would imagine anything outside of the ordinary or what we train for, it'd be hard not to panic in those conditions in that environment, man. What?
They are watching us. July 21st, 1969 is immortalized in our history books. As it is well known, this was the first day on which the first manned moon landing was completed. Neil Armstrong's quote, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," is still remembered to this day. What many do not know, however, is that Armstrong is said to have made another, much more sinister statement during the Apollo 11 mission, which was meticulously hidden from the ears of the world public. Shortly after Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon, NASA reportedly cut radio communication for about 2 minutes. During this time, Armstrong transmitted a secret message to Earth stations that read, "These things are huge, sir. Gigantic. Oh God, you wouldn't believe it. I'm telling you, there are other spaceships out here, lined up on the other side of the crater rim. They are on the moon watching us." Truthfully, we don't know for certain that these statements were truly said on the moon. After all, the communications were cut from the live broadcast that was being transmitted all the way back to us here on Earth.
Who do you trust? Who do you trust? Was it cut from us, kept from us, and now somebody's trying to give us that information that's been hidden from us from all these years? Or did this never even happen and they just making it up? Pretty interesting, right?
For certain that these statements were truly said on the moon. After all, the communications were cut from the live broadcast that was being transmitted all the way back to us here on Earth. All we have left with are rumors and supposed leaks that show this audio, but the leaks could, in all reality, have been faked. We just don't know for sure. But considering these rumors date back decades, it's entirely possible that they are true. Buzz Aldrin spoke about this encounter after the fact and said, "There are many explanations of what that could be, other than another spacecraft from another country or another world. It was either the rocket we had separated from or the 4 panels that moved away when we extracted the lander from the rocket, and we were nose to nose with the 2 spacecraft. The glitter. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and then, with these 2 prominent names, we all too often forget that 10 other people have set foot on the moon's surface so far. One of them was Alan Bean, who landed on the moon together with Charles Conrad on November 19, 1969. However, a sight awaited Bean there that he had not expected with the best will in the world. He saw something shiny on the moon that reminded him of polished shoe leather. What was really going on with the sparkling structure that was never to be clarified? The knock. Imagine you're alone on board a spaceship and suddenly someone starts banging furiously on the outside of the spacecraft. What sent shivers down our spines at the—
That's when you act like you don't hear it. You in there with your crew, something start knocking, somebody say something, you ignore them. They be like, you don't hear that? Mm-mm. They be like, something knocking. It's not opportunity, bro, so don't answer it.
The mere thought of it became an eerie reality for the Chinese Yang Liwei. As the first Chinese astronaut in history, Liwei set off into space in 2003. He later compared the inexplicable sound he was to hear soon after to the banging of a hammer on iron. Even more mysteriously, the astronaut was unable to identify the source of the noise. It appeared that the knocking was not coming from either outside or inside the spacecraft. Even a nervous look through a porthole shouldn't shed any light on the darkness. After Liwei returned to Earth, he tried to imitate the strange sound as best he could, although none of the other experts knew what could have caused it. What or who knocked on the spaceship at the time will probably remain a mystery forever.
Hey, that's crazy.
Meaningful words. U.S. astronaut Scott Joseph Kelly has spent more than 520 days in space as part of his space missions, honored with every imaginable award. Kelly, who also served on the ISS, went into well-deserved retirement on April 1, 2016. Wondering what NASA's most space-experienced astronaut missed most when he was far from Earth? Quite simply, the feeling of water on your skin. When he landed back on our blue home planet after a year in space and arrived home, he went straight into the garden and immediately jumped into the swimming pool.
I don't blame him for that, especially after I heard how they drink water up there. It's recycled urine and different things like that. You don't believe me? Go. That's what I've heard now. I know that to be true? I have never spoke to an astronaut, but this is what a few of these videos have told us. And it's the recycled urine going through some type of filtration process, and then that's what they use to drink. Still gets me even just talking about it. Ugh.
And arrived home, he went straight into the garden and immediately jumped into the swimming pool. But of course, that's not the only anecdote Kelly has to tell. While he scrupulously avoids speaking of a direct encounter of the third kind, some attentive listeners believe that there may be a profound background behind his ambiguous statements. He once mentioned in an interview that extraterrestrials have it easier in space than we do. How Kelly knows this will probably remain a secret. The snake. The American Franklin Story Musgrave can boost the title of being the only astronaut to have set off into space on all 5 space shuttles. During his 6 space flights, Musgrave completed 4 spacewalks, spending a total of 26 hours and 19 minutes outside the spacecraft. However, the astronaut born in 1935 made a statement during an interview in the 90s that still causes a lot of guesswork today. Accordingly, on 2 of his missions, he saw something in space that looked like a snake. The unknown something was about 2 to 2.5 meters long. In fact, Musgrave makes no secret of his belief in the existence of extraterrestrial life. Regarding this, he stated, "The more times you fly into space, the more incredible things you see. It reassures you that there are other creatures out there somewhere."
See, and that's the thing, right? Maybe that's what we need. Those who are in so much disbelief or just completely just, there's no such thing. Y'all are crazy. Why are y'all even looking into that? We are the only ones. There's no such thing as none of that. Put them all on a spacecraft and send them up into space. And I guarantee you we'll probably convert at least half of them by the time they get back. I guarantee you, bro, we just need to put all of them on a spacecraft and launch them up there and let them stay up there for about a good, month, and then let them come back and see how they feel. See if their minds are changed.
See, it reassures you that there are other creatures out there somewhere. Unidentified flying object. When we hear the keyword UFO, the image of a classic flying saucer immediately comes to mind. However, the astronaut James McDivitt had to witness with his own eyes that the unknown flying objects sometimes come in completely different forms. After going into Earth orbit with Ed White in June 1965, as part of the Gemini 4 mission, he saw a strange object over Hawaii that resembled a beer mug with a handle. Since Ed was asleep at the time of the sighting, there was no one who could confirm the incident afterward. In detail, the structure was a bright white cylindrical body from which a long stalk protruded. However, James couldn't tell later whether it was very small and close by or very large and far away. Shortly thereafter, the UFO is said to have disappeared from one moment to the next. After James reported the observation to his superiors, they checked their records of flying debris, but without gaining any useful information. Tear cadaver. Sparkling stars, alien planets, and countless animal corpses. The vastness of space really has a wide variety of attractions to offer. It is well known that Yuri Gagarin became the first man in space on April 12, 1961. The list of involuntary animal astronauts, however, has many more members already. It doesn't matter whether it's dogs, monkeys, rabbits, cats, frogs, spiders, fish, or guinea pigs. The path to manned space travel was paved with animal corpses. The death of many animal astronauts was not only accepted with approval, in some cases, it was even taken into account.
That's rough to hear, man. I don't know, man. Ever since I got dogs, man, I became such an animal lover, bro. That's tough to hear. And they're just floating around up there. You know what I mean? A lot of them didn't make it back here and was, you know what I mean, laid to rest, the proper burial and all that type of stuff like that. No, they're just floating around aimlessly through space. Just that's tough to hear, man.
Not only accepted with approval, in some cases, it was even taken into account. This is also the case with the unfortunate dog, Laika. As the first living creature that was sent into orbit by humans, it would have been given poisoned food after 10 days in space. However, the true cause of death was not made public until decades later. She died a few hours after takeoff, probably from stress and overeating. Strange lights. When U.S. astronaut Leroy Chiao was on board the ISS in 2005, he and his crew saw something that is difficult to put into words. In retrospect, the astronauts described a surreal light formation that presented itself in the shape of an upside-down V. Immediately after the crew discovered the flying light structure, it is said to have disappeared again into the gigantic expanses of space.
Now, are we going to call these people liars? After they went into space and tell that, you still gonna let them come back and people be like, no, it's no such thing, or y'all are crazy or stuff like that. They've went there. Like, they've seen things with their own two eyes, and they come back and they're gracious enough to tell us what they experienced. And people are gonna sit here and still not believe them or call them liars. That's crazy to me, man.
The gigantic expanses of space. The UFO fleets. What's more terrifying than seeing a lone UFO? A whole fleet of UFOs to behold. But according to his own statements, astronaut Gordon Cooper, who flew into space on both Mercury 9 and Gemini 5, saw exactly that. At one point, Cooper claims to have caught the alien spaceships spying on a U.S. Army base. In detail, the astronaut who died in 2004 assumed that the aliens were technologically superior to us and observed our Earth from other planets. Throughout his life, the American campaigned for the clarification of UFO incidents, and in an official report, warned the UN to concentrate more on decoding such events. Advance into unknown worlds. When the Voyager space probes left our Earth in the summer of 1977, no one could have guessed that the starting shot had just been fired for the greatest success story in modern space exploration. Originally intended to study the outermost members of our planetary system, the identical sister probes have meanwhile penetrated deeper into space than any other artificial object. And today, more than 45 years after launch, Voyager 1 and 2 have passed the fringes of the solar system and come face to face with interstellar space. After all, the previous research into this area, far from the stars, has yielded one finding. The interstellar space is much stranger than the experts had previously suspected. In order for us to be able to correctly classify the collected data, however, we should first recall one fact. Our sun is not a rigid, immobile celestial body, but a scorching hot gigantic furnace that races through the cosmos at a speed of 725,000 kilometers per hour. In turn, invisible magnetic field lines extend around our host star, along with electrically charged particles constantly escaping into space. These so-called solar winds spread throughout the entire solar system and thus inevitably hit the interstellar medium. On one hand, this medium is composed of ionized atomic and molecular gases as well as dust. This interstellar matter is in turn supplemented by the galactic magnetic field and cosmic and electromagnetic radiation. The edge of the solar system. But what happens when the solar winds and the interstellar medium collide? Well, in this regard, we can think of the two components as water and oil. Instead of mixing evenly, the solar winds form kind of a bubble-shaped bulge in the interstellar medium, called a heliosphere. This structure acts as kind of a natural protective shield that shields everything in its catchment area from harmful cosmic radiation. The cosmic border area where the heliosphere ends is called the heliopause. The decoding of this threshold and the question of how the components involved interact with each other is one of the most exciting research fields for astronomers. A first approach to this exciting mystery took place in August 2012. At the time, Voyager 1 penetrated interstellar space and caused immediate concern for huge question marks over the heads of scientists. Revolutionary insights. When evaluating the data, the scientists had to admit that they had drastically misjudged many aspects. According to this, the interstellar magnetic field is about 3 times stronger in reality than the theoretical models predicted. This in turn leads to the conclusion that the pressure exerted by the interstellar medium on the fringes of the solar system is 10 times higher than expected. However, the groundbreaking findings revealed by Voyager 1 were overshadowed by one major downer. The data sets were incomplete. In fact, the instrument used to measure the temperature of plasma had already given up the ghost in the 1980s. Unfortunately, the corresponding component of the sister probe was still intact. So when Voyager 2 entered interstellar space in November 2018, Earth experts were able to understand for the first time what happens when a body approaches the heliopause. As the plasma particles around the probe slowed, they grew hotter and denser in the same breath. Beyond the cosmic threshold, the interstellar medium turned out to be significantly warmer than assumed, with temperatures of almost 30,000 degrees. However, because the plasma is extremely nebulous and thin, temperatures around the probe were surprisingly low. What do you think about the astronauts' terrifying reports? And what do you think the astronauts saw and heard? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to learn more about.
I think if this is what they're telling us, imagine what they're not telling us. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure they had to sign something before they even allowed them to go into space that they couldn't talk about. So what we're getting right now is just a small little piece of what's to come maybe later on in life when they're like, I don't care what they do to me. I'm telling it all. I'm telling y'all what I saw and experienced. And sometimes they be counting on you to do that, because then by then people will kind of poke holes through your story and be like, well, why you wait till now? He just wants money. He's just doing this for money. Why he didn't do this as soon as he got back? And this, that, and the third. So they're counting on your, I don't know, people really not taking you serious later on in life, opposed to when you just got off of the spacecraft coming from space and telling us about it. So yeah, man, I respect them for even speaking out what they can speak, but imagine what's not being said that they didn't know about. You know what I mean? But y'all get at me in the comment section, man, and let me know what you thought of this video. And leave a like, share the video, subscribe, and stick around and stay tuned. Till the next one, I'm gone. Peace.